the word Oriental, I didn't know this, but is actually considered a racial slur.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it makes sense though. I mean that it's seen that way because you don't hear people say it except for like from old clips from like the 30s or something where they would call Oriental or Asian people Orientals. You don't hear that nowadays.
Do you? So let me ask you this: do you find the word Oriental offensive? Welcome to the first episode of Stay Oriented Podcast. You know what? I can't remember our own name for this podcast.
Yeah,
we just came up with it.
Yeah, I keep thinking socially oriented, which doesn't even make any sense. But that's like every time I like try to think of our name, like the logo you created and stuff, like that's what comes up first.
My name's Casey. This is my podcast, and I am joined by my brother. We are starting this podcast together. My brother's name is Carrie. And he is between him and me, he's the conspiracy theorist.
Geez, thanks for outing me out right now.
And you're always telling me about the latest conspiracy theory that's out there. And I thought, you know what? I think you'd be a really cool person to do a podcast with. And I think that's why we're doing this now.
Yeah. And then I feel like, occasionally we talk on the phones and our phone call conversations are really interesting. So it's like,
we go 2 hours straight of like just diving into like whatever conspiracy theory we want.
It's not even conspiracy. We just talk, Yeah,
we talk a lot. Yeah.
And we thought, Casey's in the LA area. I'm in, the Dallas area, and we don't get to talk that often.
We don't. And so, I think this is an awesome way for us to talk more often. And then kind of make it a scheduled thing, because I guess we're going to try and make this podcast a weekly happening if we can. But you have your job, I have my job, and we have our own separate family stuff. So we'll try to do this as often as we can. But it's so weird that we plan to do this podcast, and by the time we're ready to do it, it also happens to be the first day of Chinese New Year, and as you can tell, hopefully, from the name of this podcast, Stay Oriented, it's going to be oriented towards the Orient. No, it's going to be oriented towards Asian American culture is what it is. Or I guess Asian American culture and kind of like our lens and our lived experience and how we kind of fit into this world. So it's not always going to be Asian American centric, I guess, but I guess by virtue of us being Asian American.
Yeah, it's like our foundation.
There's a component of that in this podcast that you just can't escape. So happy Chinese New Year, Carrie.
Yeah, happy Chinese New Year. Was it Gong Hei Fa Choi?
Gong Hei Fa Choi.
Gong Shi Fa Chai. And then Chuk Mun Nam Moi. Those are the only ones I know. I don't know who else celebrates Chinese New Year's. Those are the only languages I know.
I think what you're supposed to say now in the
Happy Lunar New Year.
Yes, in the woke sense, it should be Happy Lunar New Year because you want it to be more inclusive.
I don't think Japanese people celebrate Lunar New Year, right? I think they adopted the Western New Year.
I think the whole world adopted the Western New Year.
Well, I know. Well,
everyone does the countdown on TV with everyone else.
Yeah, but like I think like exclusively the Japanese. Like I don't think they do Lunar New Year.
Maybe they don't like the Chinese people.
Probably
from historical context. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't think they celebrate in the same sense.
Also, like I think Thai people, Laotian, and Cambodians, they have their own New Year. That's like in April, I think. No, it's not all Asian people that do the Lunar New Year. They have their own thing.
You know more than I do. I just stay in my lane of it's Chinese New Year, and I still call it Chinese New Year because we grew up doing Chinese New Year stuff. Like we grew up, you and I, we both did martial arts, right?
Yeah, kung fu, lion dancing.
That was a big, and I mean that still is. Culturally, it's a huge part of Chinese culture to bring out the lion dancers, which is like these costumes. If you don't know what it is, it's like this gigantic paper mache, quote unquote lion head, but it doesn't look like a lion.
Everybody always mistakes it for a dragon.
Yeah, it's like you see the white people and they're, oh, look at the dragon. Hey, Billy, come look at the dragon. I'm like performing underneath and I can hear them talk. And I'm like, it's a fucking lion. But yeah, I mean, to the common person's eyes that doesn't know the culture, I would assume it'd be a dragon too. I mean, it's got scales, it's got horns.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like an actual
fire.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a real lion. You know, it's a made up lion that looks like a dragon, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's a mythical version. It's a mythical take on a lion.
Yeah,
and
which is weird. I don't even think there's lions in China. Right?
That's what I was about to say. I was
tigers.
Like, tigers. There's no lions, bears. No, there's just tigers. I don't think there is lions in maybe in like super, what do you call it? West China, like towards like the mountainous regions, like bobcats and stuff. But like in what we think of like culturally Chinese China, like I think it's more.
As far
tigers,
as my understanding, I think only Africa has actual lions.
True. Yeah, so maybe that's why the lions look the way they do, because it's a completely made up creature, because they don't have them in China. You know, because I mean these costumes, the dance culturally, I'm sure it dates pretty far back, right?
Probably, yeah.
And so it dates far enough back where they're like, yo, we've never seen a lion before. And so this is what we think a lion looks like from all the stories that we hear from the trade routes, right? Like,
true. Yeah.
Young Ling Bao came back. He met with some Africans and he said, oh yeah, man, I saw these crazy creatures from Africa, man. They are like dragons. Like you do not want to fuck with these cats. They're like dragons, you know?
But isn't a tiger...
It roars like a dragon. It roars like a dragon, you know what I mean?
But why did they just totally ignore the tiger? I mean, isn't the tiger actually more vicious and ferocious than a lion?
Well, if you look at the two cats, wouldn't a lion look scarier because the mane? It's like when you look at a man, you know, like between you and me, I feel like you look more aggressive than me because you got the mane, you got the beard.
But I don't know, the tiger stripes though. The tiger stripes, to me, that's what's really scary about a tiger. I don't know.
Well, but maybe there's more stoicism in a lion because they don't hide behind, you know, stripes and tall grass. They're just there, you know, they present themselves.
True, and I guess it does make them a little more bulky with like the mane just all around the face. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just bullshitting, but maybe, I think it's just a made up version of a lion.
Very interesting. I never even thought about that stuff until we started talking about it right now. It's like, why is it a lion? You know,
I don't know. Yeah, there's no cultural context to the actual animal in Chinese.
Yeah, at least nothing that culture. We know about. We never questioned it growing up.
Yeah, if whoever's listening, if you do know, let us know, because I would actually
just
like to
educate us and everyone else who also doesn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, because we're gonna be bullshitting a lot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah, why are we talking about lions? Oh, because we did lion dancing.
Yeah, lion dancing. Yep.
Interestingly enough, we also did dragon dancing.
Yes. Yeah, you probably did more of it than I did.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of it. It's a lot of teamwork because you have to like move in synchronization after the person in front of you. And it kind of goes in this pattern, this wavy pattern.
And, it's like doing the wave, but with a gigantic paper mache dragon costume on sticks. You're holding sticks and you're just moving. And so as the viewer, you're supposed to be looking at the paper mache thing, not the people holding the sticks.
But
the people holding the sticks are in plain view.
Yeah, like whenever we would do like the yearly martial arts tournament, you know, we'd have like the little like was it like the intro, like the performance introduction to the whole event, and we'd the dragon dancers would be on stage and everyone has to wear black, and that's when it makes more sense because you don't actually see
and also the team that we call it our kung fu school, because it was a kung fu school that does the lion dancing and dragon dancing, and culturally that's usually who does it. It's these kung fu schools that, you know, kind of split their time between doing these dances and martial arts. And the school that we were with, they got a dragon costume that was glow in the dark. No, it's not glow in the dark. That's false. It's It's the paint is like reactive to black light. What is that called?
Yeah, I don't know. Fluorescent? No, wait.
Fluorescent. Neon? No, I don't know. There's a word for that, right? There's a word for paint that
like whenever
reacts
you have
to black light.
Black light, over a certain type of paint, it like glows in the dark.
Yes, more. Whatever that word is.
Yeah.
Effervescent. I don't know. Reminiscent. I don't know. So it does that, and so because of that particular effect, we would all wear black clothes, black shirts, black everything, and so then that way we won't pop up in the presentation of the performance, and all you would see is just the dragon floating, which is pretty fucking badass in my opinion. And it's actually, looking back, I think it was my favorite thing that I've done in that hobby.
Yeah,
that we did.
Yeah, for me, it was
martial arts and line dancing and dragon dancing.
Line dancing, because me and my partner, my line dance partner, John, we actually did like the
how cute jumping. You and your partner, John.
Yeah, no, I just thought about that as it came out of my mouth. Like, that didn't sound right. But my line dance partner, John, we did like the pot jumping, and we would grab the lettuce and stuff at the end.
Yeah,
it's been a long time. I don't even remember the terms and whatnot.
I'm jealous of you for having done that, because I have a severe fear of heights.
I did too, and honestly, I hated doing it. I hated doing it. It was what would stress me out the most during that time of the year. Actually, before that, because you'd have to practice, months before.
Yeah. It was stressful. Chinese New Year was a very stressful time because we were part of this team, this performance team. Every Chinese New Year was the season where, like, Carrie and I, and then basically all our friends that were a part of this. And in fact, like, this was like equivalent to our church group. Like, we were close to these people as if they were our church group. We would spend every weekend together, like during our martial arts classes, and also during these performance team classes where we just practice our performances together. And then during this season, this Chinese New Year season, our school would be hired by galas. I mean, it would range from galas to grand openings to Chinese grocery stores wanting, performances. So like we went from mom and pop restaurants to like these fancy banquets at these like art museums and stuff. It was really cool. It's like we saw a lot. I felt like I grew a lot and got to absorb so much life at that time just through that. But we would practice every weekend. And then during the season, we would go like in 1 week, in the busiest 2 weeks of Chinese New Year, like it was like every day. Every day would be a performance. And sometimes we even pull ourselves out of school just to do the performances, while like our friends at school would be like, oh, I'm going to pull myself, or my parents are pulling me out of school so that we can just hang out for Chinese New Year. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting pulled out of school because I got to do this shit. I got to go, I got to go perform and do all these, I'm stressed, man. This is not a time to relax. You get to relax with your family and eat a lot of food. I am stressing out. I'm not eating the good food. I'm eating we're eating Cece's Pizza and like Panda Express every meal.
Yeah, we just go to like a
get pho. Yeah. Like,
it was stressful too because it wasn't just performing too. We also had to set up and break everything down.
Yes. There was a lot of setup. It was tiring. It was so tiring, and then it was cold. Yeah. Remember how cold it gets, especially in Texas, right? Because this is all in Texas, mind you. So Texas, February, sometimes it's like literally freezing.
It's the coldest month of the year for us, I think.
Yeah.
It might not be the coldest, but at least like the ground and everything got to cool down from, December, January. So by the time it gets to February, like the ground, like the dirt, I don't know, concrete or whatever is cooler. So that's why it feels colder in February, I think.
And that is some science right there.
I think. I don't know.
That's pretty true.
I might be bullshitting it, but that sounds
about right. Yeah. But like what we would wear would also be like the thinnest like garments, because it's like we're wearing our quote unquote kung fu pants, which are basically like pajamas. Like they're like these really baggy, like so you can move a lot. Like you can.
Very
moving
mobile.
Every which way, very mobile clothing, but they're kind of like the Wong Fei Hung clothing, like they're the, like when Bruce Lee is fighting, when he's fighting shirtless, but he's wearing the black pants, those are the pants we would wear. And they were like very, very thin material. And so when the winter wind blows at you, it like literally your balls shrink up and like, it goes up to your heart, you know.
But most of us were wearing the line dance pants, which is really warm.
And I always felt like, because you and I were part of the line dancing team, I always felt like, yes, thank you for letting me be on the line dancing team.
Yeah, and then you put on the lion. I'm slightly warmer. You have an extra layer, and then especially if you're the head, you have like the paper mache shield.
Yes, exactly. It felt so good. Like it's actually the best like relieving moment in terms of like your body temperature was being in the lion dancing moment, and you're like, oh, maybe build up a sweat so I can battle this winter cold.
And then by the time you're finished, you're just drenched in sweat, basically. And you got like a belly full of those red packets.
That's so fun.
Very nostalgic. Very nostalgic. Thought about these experiences until now. Ever since.
Me too. I'm walking down memory lane right now. I'm like, this is cool. It's I forgot that we share this experience too, because like the only times I ever talk about this, like I'll tell Tiff about it, you know, or I'll tell my friends that I meet now, and they're like, oh yeah, I used to do this thing, and I'm explaining it the way I'm explaining it right now, but only in the context of just me personally, you know. But now talking to you about it, I'm like, yeah, we share this bond and this experience together of having done this.
Yeah, even though we're like 5 years apart, and I felt like our experiences were a little different because you know, whenever
you were part of the younger kids,
when you were in the height of it, you know, I was in the younger group, and then you know, you left for college and stuff, you moved out, and then that's when I was finally in like the teenage group, doing our thing. So it was true. We shared the same experience, but at different times. So we know what we're talking about still when we mention it to each other.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. But so
it was a coincidence.
Happy Chinese New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year.
Oh yeah, Happy Lunar New Year.
Yeah, but it's such a coincidence that we actually are shooting our first episode on the New Year's, because we didn't really plan this at all. Honestly, I forgot that it was going to be Chinese New Year's until
me too. I never know when Chinese Lunar New Year. I never know when that happens because I don't know. I kind of just like once Christmas is over and New Year's is over, like American New Year's is over or Western New Year's is over, Occidental New Year's is over. I think I don't think of holidays anymore. I don't think of like, you know, what's the next one?
There's Valentine's, you know, you got to make the wife happy.
Yeah. You know what? I think about that because I think to me in the immediate that's way more important than celebrating Chinese New Year. Lunar New Year.
Yeah. So it was actually, this wasn't planned at all that we did it today. Just so happened to fall on this day. And honestly, I think Chinese New Year's usually falls in February. I don't know how the lunar calendar works.
Yeah, it's usually in February. Yeah, like last year, I think it was on the 1st of February. Because I remember when Luca was born. Actually, for those of you who don't know, my son's name was going to be Luna if he was a girl, which we didn't know if he was a girl or a boy.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't tell you? Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, so we had 2 names, Luca and Luna, that were our like go-tos, but for, you know, to each respective gender. And so then if he was a girl, then it was Luna, and if he was a boy, then Luca. And so
which is funny because Luna means moon in Spanish.
Yeah, which is Lunar New Year. So yeah, there's a lot of cultural things that we liked about the name Luna. We're actually rooting for a girl so we can go with the name Luna because we're like, oh yeah, like in Spanish it means the moon, and then Chinese culture we love the moon as well. And so we loved that name, but then he ended up being a boy, so we chose Luca instead. And my point of bringing up Luca though was the fact that he was born one day before February. So he was born on the last day of January, which happens to be the day right before Chinese New Year, which means not only was he not born in February, which he was supposed to be, he wasn't born as a tiger, which he was supposed to be. And we're now
I forget about that.
You're the tiger, yeah. So he's an ox. So I was like, dang, you went from being like one of the cooler animals to being the most stubborn animal.
Yeah, definitely the most stubborn animal because I feel like
at least that's what
it's true. It's true because Diana, my wife, she's an ox and she's very stubborn. And our cousin, Yeah, she's also very stubborn. She's super cool, but she's always been a stubborn.
It's not a knock on anyone that's an ox. It's just that
she's very strong and independent.
It's literally in the what do you call it? The horoscope, right? It's literally in the description of these animals in the zodiac. Like they literally say stubborn ox. You know, I'm like, well, I'm making this up. You know, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. But it literally says right there in the fine print.
The two oxes I know throughout my life, they're pretty stubborn, very strong, smart people. And I would say Luke is probably going to be stubborn too. He's as a baby. Yes, he shows lots of signs of being like I want it my way, and I'm not going to see your way at all. Yeah, but time will tell.
But time will tell. Yeah, but yeah, happy Chinese New Year, and on that note, also today I guess is rather tragic. I guess it's tragic because it's also because of where I am in the world. So I'm in California. I'm in SoCal. And in the Los Angeles area, there's a a suburb called Monterey Park in the San Gabriel Valley, and the locals here call it the 626. And that's the area code, by the way, if you didn't know. And in Monterey Park last night, on the eve of Chinese New Year, there was a mass shooting. I believe 2 different locations. Both of them are
different locations.
Yeah, the shooter went from one dance studio to another dance studio. So actually, it was Monterey Park, and then he drove a couple miles north to Alhambra. Both of which I lived in. I lived in Monterey Park for about. I think I lived in Monterey Park for 3 years, and then no. 2 years, and then I lived in Alhambra for like 6 years.
You know what? I did see something about the Alhambra thing, but I don't know.
Yeah,
so much news coming out.
Yeah, I think it's still really fresh, so I don't know too much, and I don't think the news is revealing too much just yet. So by the time this video comes out, maybe there's so much more about it that that whatever we're saying is possibly wrong or just not up to date anymore. But as of right now, it involves Monterey Park Police and Alhambra Police, and it's a lone gunman with what they call a semi-automatic weapon, and they called it a very long weapon. And I
heard it was a handgun.
Really? Okay, so
we'll find out more. I really don't know.
Okay.
This is all really
I don't know either. I don't know either.
I have to read more into it.
I skimmed the first article I could find on it, which was a good 10-minute read. So there was a lot of information.
I think they caught the guy now. Either that or there's like a standoff in Torrance, California with some white van. This is the latest thing I heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really
so
sure.
This is live. You're looking it up right now?
Yes. Yeah. I have it pulled up.
Look that shit up, Carrie.
Yeah. And they said it was, so the suspect is an older Asian male. The Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Monterey Park, Chester.
Wait, what kind of mail? I was thinking about Torrance and all the awesome sushi over there. Wait, what happened?
So it is an older Asian male who committed this heinous crime. The community leader, the Chinese Chamber of Commerce community leader, Chester Chong, said to believe that it came from a domestic dispute, maybe out of jealousy between husband and wife. I could be wrong. That's what I'm reading so far. But it's weird weird that he went from one dance studio and then just went to another dance studio. Maybe
there's a lot of people involved in it. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, look, okay, with that piece of information you just said, it makes it less likely that it's a hate crime.
Yes,
and I think that was one thing that I didn't want to see on the eve of Chinese New Year was headlines: Chinese New Year, hate crime, mass shooting, and I don't know. It's just like this whole Asian hate thing.
Which coincidentally, you did do one episode of a podcast a couple years back during the height of the Stop Asian Hate thing.
Yes, so I have actually tried making 2 other podcasts before. This is being my third. And the first one was a movie-oriented podcast. And then the second one was called Tornado Kick, and it was at the height of the Asian hate stuff. So like me and my friends wanted to like commentate on it. We did one episode, and then I don't know, like we just kind of like lost touch as a group. We were just like, kind of like, oh, we're too busy with this, we're too busy with that, and we just never followed up with another episode, and it's just like a one episode wonder. So with that said, I promise you this podcast will be not a one episode wonder. We will definitely do more episodes. But yeah, carrying that same energy from then to now, I actually wanted to make a podcast about positive things. But as we're recording our first episode, the night before this crazy shooting happens, and now I'm like, I feel like I'm thrown right back into that headspace I was when we did that episode with the previous podcast about. At that time, it was the Atlanta spa shootings.
Yeah,
and I think ultimately that was ruled what do you call it?
Hate crime.
A hate crime. Yeah. And so
this one doesn't appear to be. This one just looks like a psycho who, I don't know. From what I'm reading, it looks like a domestic dispute between him and his wife. And I don't know why he went to a nut. Well, I think they're still trying to see if that other one in Alhambra is connected. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I'm just now
Tiff
seeing the Alhambra thing.
Yeah, Tiff, my wife, she was telling me that that it was strange that this guy was targeting dance studios, and then at each of the dance studio, I think the owner was killed.
Oh,
so he's going after the owners of the dance studios.
Maybe his wife is really into dancing, and she
had an affair.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
But or he thought she had an affair. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he killed anyone in Alhambra, though. It looked like the people at the dance studio were able to wrestle the gun away, and then he just.
I did read that. Yes, you are correct about that. Yeah, I did read that. Is there a picture of this guy? Did they identify him?
Yeah. If you look it up, it's like an old Asian guy. Like you just would never suspect this guy doing anything like this.
Monterey Park shooter.
Yeah, they released some photos. He just looks like an old Asian grandpa that's like crossing the street or something.
How old is he? I can't even find a picture of him yet. How are you so good at looking things up, Jamie?
Honestly, you know what? While we're recording, it feels a lot more pressure to find stuff. Before we hopped on, I was looking up this stuff and it was so easy to find. But now that we're recording, it feels like, I don't know, like I'm like shaking and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I found. Let's see.
Is he wearing a beanie?
Yeah, like a toboggan type thing.
Okay, yeah, I found it now. Okay,
yeah. It's on Fox 11 Los Angeles. That's the article that I pulled it up from.
Oh man, ads are playing. It hurt my ears.
Yeah,
okay,
I hate that.
I see. Okay, so this guy is definitely older. Yeah, the report that I read, they were like, as an Asian male, age ranging from 30 years of age to 50 years of age. This guy looks like he could be 60 or 70.
Yeah, he looks like he's old. Be a grandpa. Yeah.
I would not think 30 does not come to mind. The moment I like even his shoulder, like the way his body gesture is, it's like old.
Yeah, like just old. Like he's kind of getting decrepit or something.
Yeah, he's up there.
I don't know.
He looks older than our dad.
But it's hard to tell because he's wearing like a toboggan. He's got glasses. I can't tell. Maybe he's got a mask, like like those face masks, but just like tucked underneath his chin. So it's kind of limited to see him fully, and it looks like he's wearing winter wear. I'm guessing this picture is from the incident.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's whatever CCTV cameras caught or whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny. This person said, I knew he was white or Asian because if he was brown, Muslim, or black, it would have been released within 10 minutes. Asians is trending. Monterey Park is trending. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody was saying like, this stuff is happening now, but in a few hours, and like the NFL playoff games are going to be trending, and then no one's going to care about this anymore. But
true.
I don't think so. This is a very big deal.
Contextually, or historically, like Asian things like this happening, it's like side news. It's not like the main media stuff. They don't report this stuff like it's like big. They don't. It's like, I guess they don't care, right? They don't really care about it. And like with the Atlanta spa shootings, that actually became a thing, and that was really cool to see. I think at that time, in terms of the coverage, it was cool to see the outpouring of grief and I guess care and nurture and love, I think, for the community. And I'm interested in seeing how this plays out.
Yeah, because everyone probably was suspecting that it was, like a hate crime. But now it's revealed that it was
if you're Asian,
Asian on Asian crime.
I actually was very surprised to hear that it was an Asian on Asian thing on Chinese New Year. I was just like, what?
Yeah, it's really weird. This story is really weird. It's like it so happened to happen on, well, I guess Chinese New Year's Eve or Lunar New Year's Eve. But it's just a big coincidence, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of fishy.
So there's a lot of information that is still coming out about this because it literally just happened last night. But, condolences to the families that were affected, condolences to, it's a very tragic thing to wake up to, especially, Chinese New Year being such a happy thing. It's such a festive thing. Like I know, like yesterday, we didn't go to it, but Tiff and I thought about going to Monterey Park for some of the festivities, or they had, they block down Garvey Ave.
Oh, that's where it happened. Actually, yeah. You know what's actually crazy? Yeah, condolences to the families of the victims and the victims themselves. But what I read this crazy thing on Twitter, it was like because today is January 22nd, 122. And the address of the place that it happened was also like 122 Garvey Avenue or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, this is weird. But
that's why you're on this podcast. That's some conspiracy. That's so on brand. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out, I guess. I don't know.
I can't. The last time there was a Asian mass shooting in America, at least that I can remember, was
Virginia
Tech with that the Korean guy who was like always bullied and stuff, and I guess he just, he went off the rails. But this one is different because he's an older guy. You usually expect this kind of behavior coming from someone younger.
I think there was a shooting recently too at a Taiwanese church, a Chinese guy and Taiwanese people. But I think that was a politically motivated one. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, I think that had to do with, it was like I think the issue was between like Taiwan and China.
Yeah, it's a politically motivated thing.
Yeah. But that one didn't get much coverage.
Racially motivated thing, huh?
That one didn't get as much coverage.
No, because
I heard about it briefly, and then I don't know, like the next day, I felt like it was.
Yeah, because you know why? Because America doesn't care about China-Taiwan politics. Like they just don't care. The only reason why they would care about China-Taiwan politics is if U.S. goes to war with China,
which I really
over
hope that
Taiwan.
Happen. Yeah,
I don't want that to happen.
That'd be terrible.
Yes, but from a like a social level, I don't even know if I understand the beef between China and Taiwan at a level where I'm like I could like debate it. I don't know enough, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna really read into it. I know that the context of like Mao China, right? The Maoist China, and like the other Chiang Kai-shek leaving China to start his own thing because he was like, I'm not part of this communist stuff. So he started Taiwan, basically. He founded Taiwan.
Yeah, but so he founded Taiwan, but they still kept like the name Republic of China or something like that. So I think China now is like, oh, well, I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like China is just like, oh, you still have the name China in it. So, it's ours. And I feel like
that's so weird. China's so weird about that. Like, just leave them alone. Like, they wanted their own thing. They have their own thing. If anything, they, with less land and lesser people and lesser resources, they're able to perform at a very high level in terms of like economical status amongst the world. Like I know like US, like in terms of like the chips, like military grade chips and whatever like technical achievements that come out of Taiwan. I mean, like they're like next level. And I think, I bring up the whole like US getting into war with China over Taiwan because from what I understand is that US has a need for Taiwan. Like they need Taiwan to produce these types of chips because that's where they get them from. They import them from Taiwan. And so if China takes over or does any sort of thing to like mess with Taiwan, that messes with US's access to these chips. And so that's where I think, I'm like, dude, we're gonna go to war if China keeps like muscling their missile, their airborne flying military crafts. They're just flying over Taiwan, trying to like
they're doing
show
like
their
these
muscle.
like
they're flexing
these like Air Force like military exercises where it's
they're just right over Taiwan.
They're taunting Taiwan.
In the same way that like North Korea did to Japan. Like they just kept flying stuff over Japan, like woo!
It's kind of like waving, just like waving their dick around, basically.
Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do about this? What are you gonna do about this? And then you over here, America is just kind of like, like what do we do?
Yeah, and, I hope it doesn't go to a war. I really hope we're finding another solution to find another place to get all these chips made. I know that takes a long time to figure out, like the logistics and having the equipment, technology, and even like the workforce to have the knowledge to do it too.
I think what they're trying to do is build these facilities in the U.S. now, where they're trying to replicate the same facilities that are in Taiwan, so that U.S. can make their own chips.
I would say that would be ideal. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much more money that takes and all those logistics, but that would be the right move to go towards, at least. I think too much global dependence. It ends up everyone holding hostage against each other over something else,
Yeah, it's like we're getting involved with these like beefs around the world because we have our hands in other people's pockets the whole time, and it's kind of like it's kind of messy, guys.
And like the other thing is like literally everything is made in China too. So it's like, well, what happens if we do go to war with China? Like, does stuff not get made anymore? Like, I don't know. It's crazy to think about how like literally you can pick up, I don't know. You can pick up almost anything and it'll probably say made in China,
True.
So it's just,
but Buzz Lightyear was made in Taiwan though. I just want to put that in there, out there. Yeah. In the scene where he realizes he's a toy for the first time
in the very first Toy Story. Okay, that's funny.
I think it's made in Taiwan. Am I tripping? I think it's made in Taiwan.
I don't know. You would. I don't know. Yeah. See, like I have this little nightlight right here, made in China. Yep.
Yes, he's made it. Buzz Lightyear is made in Taiwan.
That's why China wants him.
Do you think if
they want the secrets of Buzz Lightyear?
Right. If Toy Story was made today, do you think they would say made in China now?
Probably. I would say so, yeah.
Because Hollywood loves China now.
Yeah, they do. Because like China will cancel certain movies in China if they don't approve of it. Yeah. Like I know China's very like anti-LGBT, and I forgot what movie it was, but I remember hearing in the news there's like a movie that was, kind of promoting LGBT stuff, and like China was like, nope, we're not showing it here. Something. Yeah,
they're anti a lot of stuff. They're anti free speech, and they're anti Hong Kong, which is where
our parents are from.
Our parents are from, and like, I think that's one of the saddest things that's happening. So I guess like I bring this all up because I'm like, if China ever makes a move on Taiwan, I feel for that, because in the same way I feel for Hong Kong, because I absolutely love Hong Kong culture. I'm very proud of our heritage in terms of what Hong Kong is, which is, if you ever go to Hong Kong, or if you ever go to a Hong Kong cafe, like if you ever go to a restaurant that is like specifically Hong Kong style food, it's very different from Chinese food. It's got its own thing, and I love that about Hong Kong. I love this melting pot identity of Hong Kong. Even the language Cantonese, it's like it's basically being phased out of China.
Yeah. So for all of you that don't know, so Hong Kong really became.
You just say all yous.
I don't know what I said. I'm a little nervous still, so
okay, got it. I'll just let you do your thing. Sorry.
So for all of you that don't know, Hong Kong rose in prominence because it was pretty much colonized by the British back in the 1800s, I think. There was like the Opium Wars or the Boxer Rebellion. I don't know. There's like multiple names for it. So from my understanding, from what our parents told us, was that the British, they're colonizing the whole world back in the 1800s. That was their time. And I think China was also very weak too. They were constantly being attacked by foreign invaders from all sorts of directions because of how big China is. And from what my understanding was that, China had all the tea, like the tea culture really came from China, and they traded it out. It was a big part of their economy.
They had all the gossip,
which is funny because I'm actually drinking.
I'm drinking tea as well.
I'm drinking tea, but I'm drinking London Fog, Victorian London Fog.
Oh, very nice. I'm drinking my own blend. I blended Chinese Keeman tea and Assam tea, Indian.
Oh,
tea.
Nice, cool.
Yeah,
a little bit of almond milk. I need to diversify my tea blend.
A little bit of honey. Oh, I see.
That sounds good. But yeah, so anyway,
I love exploring tea blends.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So China, a big part of their economy was trading tea, and something about the British importing opium into China, and a lot of people in China were getting addicted to opium. It's just basically heroin, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about that stuff, but opium kind of was like a epidemic in China. People were getting hooked on it. People were just they had a drug problem essentially, and China was kind of rebelling against that. And it's like, well, we're giving you tea, you're giving us drugs, and there was like a whole war over it. And Chinese lost, the British won, and
they were getting drugged up.
Yeah,
the whole time.
And so basically, they had a treaty after the war where the British would take over the territory of what is modern day Hong Kong. And at the time, it was nothing but like a fishing village, I think. It was like nothing. Yeah. It was literally nothing.
The British had the vision, though. They were like, this can be something. This land right here, this little fishing village, this is something.
Yeah, and Hong Kong is tiny. Like geographically, it's tiny. It's surrounded by mountains. So you see today, it has like so many skyscrapers, like crazier than New York. I think it's densely populated.
Out of all the major cities I've ever been to, with like skyscrapers, obviously, I would say Hong Kong might be the most impressive I've ever seen.
Yeah, when it comes to
most impressive
skyscrapers, it's just and stuff.
So dense.
Yeah,
and it's just like it looks like CG when you're there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get this from just even going to the LA downtown. You just like look at these massive buildings and like the vertigo, like there's a perspective looking up.
You're just like, whoa.
And I'm like, this looks fake, man. What is this? But like you go to Hong Kong, it's like,
And they were forced to build their city that way just because of like the geographical restrictions. They're just surrounded by these mountain ranges and water
and
the harbor.
Yeah.
And so they had a treaty between China and Great Britain where Great Britain would own the territory of Hong Kong for 150 years, where I guess it was ruled by the Queen or, the monarchy. But at the same time, it was like independent, I think. I don't know the details of, the politics of Hong Kong and Great Britain. But,
yeah, I mean, it's a colony. So it basically they have to adhere to British like common law, I think, right?
Yeah, something like
that. But
then
they obviously they're self-governing too. But but the self-governance was a spin-off off of British stuff. That's why, like in Hong Kong, like there's English is a little more prominent. For at least historically since the 1800s, like they're a little more prominent with their English, with their technology, their the infrastructure it's all thanks to the white people of the world.
So China, not China, sorry. Hong Kong became a global power in like export and shipments and stuff, because they're by the harbor. So they're part of like the four tigers, I forget the term. I learned it in school. It was like the four like trading tigers of Asia or something. It was like Hong Kong, Tokyo, Singapore, and I'm missing the last
Beijing.
one. No.
Shanghai.
I don't know. Let me look this up.
Well, you bring up Singapore. Singapore is running circles around Hong Kong now. Ever since China, like so fast forward your little history lesson a little bit. While you look that up, Carrie.
South
1997.
Korea.
Oh, Seoul.
Yeah, I assume.
Okay, so Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, and Hong Kong.
The four
tigers of Asia.
Wait, hold on. Actually, Tokyo's not in it. It's Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. According to
Taiwan, of course, Taiwan. Yes,
according to Wikipedia, the four Asian.
How can we forget Taiwan?
Yeah, we were just talking about them.
South Korea being. I mean, is there a particular city though? I'm imagining Seoul.
It just says South Korea, And
okay, so they're
Taiwan
not
also
looking
has
at
Taiwan.
cities.
Yeah.
Okay, because Hong Kong is
Its
a
own
city
territory.
and its own territory. Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, so
Yeah.
and Singapore also, yes. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, okay, you know what? With that said, though, since 1997, or actually not since 1997, but since those riots in Hong Kong happened, which was at end of 2019, I think.
It was right before COVID. Yeah,
right before COVID. Ever since then, I feel like Hong Kong has just tanked, and I don't know if they're going to be considered one of the four tigers anymore. If that, with that said,
yeah,
you know, I think their economy is dying the way China's economy is. And if you don't know what's happening in China, China basically overinvested in freaking real estate, but no one was actually developing the real estate.
So what happened in China, which I am very limited in this. I just remember because Dad talked about it.
Yeah, I actually would love to bring Dad on and talk more about this because our dad's really invested in this type of stuff as well.
He really keeps up with Chinese news. But from my understanding, it was like, in here, you would they would build like giant, apartment complexes, and then they would lease it out, or if they're condos, then they would sell it out. But in China, what they would do is they would take like a deposit first from people, and then they would develop these developments, or I don't know, houses, or I don't know what they build exactly. But so they took all these people's money in, and then they just like never built these things, and they floated the money elsewhere.
They did a pyramid scheme out of a real estate contract.
Yeah,
and they just used the money to buy more
else.
Other stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, and like it just never went back into the business
forward
itself.
The cash into something else, and I don't know if it was done intentionally or if it was just mismanagement and somebody screwed up. I have no idea.
But that's a whole nation, though. The whole nation was under the notion of doing this. So it's like, how does that happen? Maybe I can understand like one or two entities of real estate brokers or agents are like, this is a good idea. Whatever the fuck they were thinking. The whole nation is in this now. The whole nation, people are without homes. They're paying for homes that they don't even live in.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they own it or whatever, if they want to sell it, they can't sell it for the same price.
They have nothing to sell.
Exactly. So it's like they're kind of in a weird situation, and that's only one facet as to why their economy is tanking. There's a lot of other facets, obviously. But going back to the Hong Kong thing, though. Yeah. So fast forward your little history lesson. 1997 was the year that Hong Kong was given back to China, and China at that time promised Hong Kong, "Hey, we're going to give you 50 years. 50 years to
reintegrate back into Chinese.
That's the word.
Like China's law.
We're gonna give you 50 years for you to un-Britishize yourself, get rid of whatever the Queen taught you. We're gonna get you to be more Chinese. 50 years.
So that would, and obviously, to 2047. That would be the full
2047. And with that said, too, in 1997, there was a huge wave of people leaving Hong Kong. Like a lot of people fled. They're like, "Fuck that!"
Yeah, they're like, "We don't trust China. We're leaving now."
Yeah, we want to go to a place where white people are in power.
Yeah, I think a lot of people went to like Australia was a big spot.
Australia, obviously England, Canada. Canada was huge too.
Yeah, that Vancouver area. I hear there's a lot of Hong Kong,
a lot of Cantonese.
Yeah, Cantonese people there, and then of course America.
So I mean, like so many people. I mean, people know what China is. Like at least Hong Kong people, like they know what what they can do as a government, and they're like, yeah, we don't want none of that. We like the freedom that we've had for. Yeah, I mean, these are people generationally. All they've known is
Hong Kong,
British Hong Kong. Yeah. They don't know China Hong Kong.
Yeah, because I think for a long time they weren't even allowed to go to China. So they were just stuck in their little city, it's a big city, but in the grand scheme of things, Hong Kong is a tiny dot, and they were just stuck there. A lot of people have never left Hong Kong. It's crazy, like especially being from Texas. It's so big here. You can drive to Houston, San Antonio, Austin, go all over the country, but when you're in Hong Kong, like you're just in Hong Kong, and you're going to need your passport to go anywhere else, basically.
Right.
And that's just crazy to think about. So all these people that know nothing except for Hong Kong, once China became back in power over Hong Kong, a lot of them just left.
And so now they're fast forwarding they're speeding up this 50 years promise.
Well, so what happened?
Down to like 20 years.
It was like 23 years, I think. That's what Dad told me. But so what happened was, and I might be butchering the story. It's kind of weird. It's a weird story. So I think 23 years. Well, that's 2020. Well, a couple years before 2020, I remember there was this case where I think a guy from Hong Kong and his wife, they were in Taiwan actually, and he like murdered her or something like that. And then
what?
Yeah, you didn't hear about the story?
No.
Hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
Okay,
Hong
Jamie.
Kong national Taiwan murder. This was kind of like the catalyst of China speeding up their rule over Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, they. Yes, okay. I think I think this kind of sparked
the murder of Poon Hu-wing. Yeah, so she was a 20-year-old pregnant woman from Hong Kong. She was murdered in Taipei in 2018, February 17th, by her boyfriend, Tony Chan Tong Kai. They were on vacation, and also, okay, Chan. Okay, so he murdered his girlfriend or wife, whoever, and so he, body obviously left in Taiwan. He murdered her in the hotel room. So when he came back to China, he actually admitted to Hong Kong authorities that he killed his girlfriend. Stole her belongings, left her body in the bushes, and then went back to Hong Kong like nothing happened. But then, I guess the guilt got to him.
He admitted it? Why would he admit to
maybe the guilt got to him. I don't know. I'm literally reading off of Wikipedia now. So yeah, he just like left her body in the bushes. I don't even know how he pulled that off. That carrying a dead human body is probably really, really hard, unless if you're just like this big, strong dude carrying like a really lightweight, dead person.
I mean, he's Chinese. He probably engineered a whole contraption just to get her.
Maybe like a whole pulley system. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So I think the guilt got to him. He admitted it to the Hong Kong police that he murdered his girlfriend back in Taiwan. And for whatever reason, they couldn't charge him with murder because it didn't happen in Hong Kong. And they could only sentence him on money laundering charges, which they don't even mention. I don't know. I guess you got to read more into that. But they could only charge him on money laundering, and that they couldn't extradite him back to Hong Kong. Let's see. Chan could not be extradited to Hong Kong either, since there is no extradition treaty between Hong Kong and Taiwan. So that it was kind of left at that.
He got trapped in a political loophole, basically.
Basically, yeah. So then that's when mainland China comes in. I think they decided to extradite him to mainland China to then charge him with murder. And while it was terrible that he murdered his girlfriend and should totally be serving the consequences of that, I think the people of Hong Kong, they got triggered by it because it's like, wait a minute, if there's no treaty,
he's not your citizen, he's our citizen.
Exactly. So if anything, they felt like Hong Kong should be the ones, the Hong Kong government should be dealing with this, not mainland China. And because mainland China was like, oh, screw it, we're going to extradite him and charge him ourselves, people in Hong Kong were kind of like, it kind of raised the question. It's like, oh, if they can do this, what else are they going to do to impede?
Yeah, if this, then what?
Mm-hmm, exactly. So it's a weird case for all this to happen around.
Because it's weird, because it's almost kind of like, hey, we're trying to protect the murderer here. You don't get to take this murderer because we want to punish the murderer, and we feel like you're gonna not do the right thing here. So give us the murderer. We're gonna do the right thing. But it's like, okay, it almost sounds like that, right? It almost sounds like we want what's best for this murderer, which is really weird to say out loud.
But protecting the murderer's rights in a sense.
Yes, which is really weird. And, if you, on the surface, it's like, why would you want to do that? Fuck that guy, right? He killed someone, fuck him. But at the same time, it's like, if this, then what? If this sets the precedent for China to be able to just come in and just supersede and just be like, no, we're going to do it the Chinese way, we don't care about the Hong Kong way, then that's chaos for the Hong Kong people who are promised 50 years of doing things their way as they slowly reintegrated back into Chinese shit, right? And now China's just like coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what sparked the protests. Sparked those protests and riots in Hong Kong.
And then China sends all the military tanks and all the military outfits into China to basically, or they didn't send it to China. They sent it to Shenzhen, I think.
Yeah, honestly,
am I right? Okay. I barely covered this on JK News, and I was really invested at the time. I kind of forget exactly what they did, but I do know that there's a lot of protesting and rioting happening in Hong Kong, and a lot of the police officers, they actually hired gangsters like the triads to help fight against citizens who are protesting.
Really?
So, like that's how out of hand it got. Where
even
the local Hong Kong police were like, "We can't fucking handle this, man. Hey, where you triads at? We can work together. We have a common enemy here," or like whatever. Like I don't even know. It's a common enemy. I think it's just like, "Hey, triads, you want to make some money? Here's an assignment for you. Let's work together for once." You know?
And then coincidentally, COVID happened, and then all of that stuff just kind of washed out because everyone was, had to quarantine.
Coincidentally?
I don't know. At the time, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's so weird. Like all of this stuff is happening. Everyone's supporting Hong Kong, for their own freedom and stuff. And,
not the NBA though. I want to make that clear. Not the NBA.
There's only one guy. Is it Dan?
Daryl Morey.
Dan Morey. Yeah. Yeah, he did.
He lost his job for it. There.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he was like the GM of the Houston Rockets, which their biggest star ever was Yao Ming, who was a Chinese national. So it's just
exactly
kind of ironic that that's the team he was working for at the time. And I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, and I think
politics is weird.
Yeah, I think another NBA player was it Enes Kanter. I think he changed his last name to Freedom. That guy's weird. The Turkish government has like a bounty on his head.
So he can't go back to Turkey. Or else
I don't know. There's like...
Is he a dead man if he goes back to Turkey?
Probably, yeah. There's people that say that he's like maybe like CIA or I don't know. He's like up there working with... I don't know. He's an agent of some sort.
I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know.
Is this conspiracy theory right here?
Yeah. I don't think it's that serious though. But people are just like, this guy's kind of weird, like... He's just random Turkish NBA player that's like super political about everything.
Yeah, especially about China.
Yeah.
And LeBron. He really doesn't like LeBron.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. But yeah.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so that's kind of weird that all that, the timing of all that. And I know there's like debate, or I don't know, at least for me, there's a debate on the future of the Cantonese language because... Me personally, I think Cantonese will become a dying language. Maybe not in our lifetimes. It might take a long time, but just with the way China's moving into Hong Kong and just by the proportion of the population between Hong Kong and mainland China, it just seems like, over time, Mandarin just might take over Hong Kong. I think. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I think it's on its way there. I think everyone's incentivized to speak more Mandarin in Hong Kong. Like it just seems to be the way. It's it's like in the programming, like the movies. I think all sorts of like media outlets.
Like
they're favoring Mandarin.
Stephen Chow, the Shaolin Soccer guy, and Kung Fu Hustle. He started doing his movies in Mandarin after those two big ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's just basically who's paying the bills, like, you got China coming in and like, you don't have the support of British, whatever, or like, or even like the big power players in Hong Kong are now maybe just puppets to the bigger money that's in China.
Yeah. Cause you think about Stephen Chow, you think about, Jackie Chan, of course, I don't know, I guess Hong Kong Hollywood, I don't know what they called it. But Jackie Chan's a legend in the Hong Kong film industry, and I don't know what he's doing now, but just ever since he was retired from his action movies, I don't know if there's any more like big movies coming out of Hong Kong.
He's not retired technically. He's
a producer, right?
Making movies.
But he's still in the movies.
He's still.
Oh, okay. He is okay.
But he's just not doing the movies that he's known for. Like he's not doing his own stunts. It's not advertised that he's like, oh, I'm doing all my stunts still. Like he's making movies and he's still fighting in the movies. But I'm sure he's like
he's gonna be like a Mr. Miyagi, probably. In the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
He technically is Mr. Miyagi in he did the Karate Kid movie with Jaden,
you're right.
Jaden Smith.
Yeah, he was literally in that.
Right, Jaden Smith. Yeah,
Jaden Smith. Yeah.
But yeah, so Happy Chinese New Year, guys. We love our Chinese culture.
Yeah, we love Xi Jinping. We love China. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I did. I think we're out of time. I think we should wrap up soon. But one last thing. So when we came up with the name of this podcast, we thought, oh, Stay Oriented would be a really interesting name, just because it's a double,
entendre,
right? Like there's the like instead of staying woke, it's Stay Oriented, because I don't know. I think for us, I feel like we're kind of like, there's a lot of things happening in the world, and it's like, like you swing back and forth in every which way, and it's like, I don't know, but it's like, I think the path to stay oriented, the path to orient yourself for a proper path, it's in the minutia. You gotta dig for it and find it, and it's very hard. And I think it's you have to find it in the minutia of grace and dignity, right? And I don't know. I love the name that we came up with for the podcast. I think there's a very meaningful definition to it, if I think about it. But also, I like the fact that we're using a word that seems to be outlawed by Obama. The word Oriental. I didn't know this, but is actually considered a racial slur.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it makes sense though. I mean that it's seen that way, because you don't hear people say it except for like from old clips from like the 30s or something, where they would call Oriental or Asian people Orientals. You don't hear that nowadays.
Do you? So let me ask you this: do you find the word Oriental offensive?
From the face value, no. But
so you're speaking for all Asians here, okay?
I would say no, but if someone's trying to offend you by calling you Oriental, then it's really out of like from the context, I would say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let it bother me. I don't like.
Yeah.
I try not to be bothered by things like that. Just because it's like, what's the point? But
I agree.
I agree. I guess from a Hollywood perspective, it does sound kind of racist. Like you'd only hear
you're calling people things like that's the Oriental rug. So then you're calling Oriental people like what you're calling it. Like I guess you're comparing it to things.
Yeah, I guess it's a word I've never really thought about.
It's almost never been used around me. Like I don't know. So for me, I'm like, I don't know how offensive it is. I don't know how offensive it actually is to me, because it's never used towards me. It's never been used in my vicinity even, I mean, like I read about it, and I'm catching up on the fact that it's been turned into a racial slur.
Yeah.
They took out the word Oriental in all of Congress, like all the terminologies used to refer to Asian people.
Yeah,
now
any sort of federal
Asian Americans.
Any sort of federal documents, Obama outlawed the use of the word Oriental to refer to Asians. Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't find it that offensive. And yet, I guess, I guess we shouldn't be using it. Oriental with the AL at the end. But
which we did some reading.
I don't know.
And it just means the East. Like geographically, it just means East. So I think back then,
there's Oriental world, and then there is Occidental world, right? Occidental literally in Latin, it's called West. Yeah, and Orient is like East or something, or rising. I think rising and descending, something like that.
Something like that. But it's just funny,
like rising sun and.
Because I think before Asia was discovered by Westerners, I think they would call like people from like the Turkish Empire Oriental, or maybe the Arabs. So as they kept moving more east, the definition of Oriental, or like what they would be to describe Oriental people, changed throughout history.
Yeah. They're like, oh man, we thought those people were Oriental. These motherfuckers are Oriental.
Until they
look really different from us.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny when you think about it that way. It's like it just means East, and it kind of turned into like this negative connotation throughout all these years. And when you think about it like that, it's like, oh, it's kind of silly, but I don't know.
You know how you said that the word Oriental, like, I guess, if someone said it a certain way and it could be made offensive, right? Then I'm like, okay, so people took offense to the way Trump said China, like the way he says China.
Yeah.
And I'm like, So is the word China gonna be outlawed eventually? Like, is that word gonna be considered a racial slur? Because people were getting weirded out by the word China. Like, why do you have to say China? And I'm like, okay, I admit this. I do feel weird when people say Chinese. Like, the word Chinese bugs me sometimes when people say, oh yeah, he's this Chinese guy. I'm like, ooh, that just sounds weird to me. It sounds offensive.
I know what you mean, because I think it's kind of like that with the word Mexican too. You're just describing something as Mexican, but it's been
Mexican.
It's been used in like these other contexts where it's like it just sounds racist over time.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, if that's the feeling I'm getting, am I just being a whiny bitch and saying like anything can offend me? And was that the case with the word Oriental, or is there an actual, like, I don't know. I guess we're all kind of like sensitive like that, like because we are that, and which is what we are the representation of what someone is describing. Like there is like a slight sensitivity to it, right? It's like when you're at a stand-up show and you just happen to fall into the category in which what they are making fun of. The joke is at your expense.
Yeah,
you don't like those jokes.
But if it's funny though, it's funny. If it's not funny, then it's like, okay, that's kind of offensive. I feel like.
Yeah, but I don't know. I am sensitive like that though, because like I won't say much. I'm like, whatever. It's a joke. I shouldn't feel this way, but I can't help but feel that way. Like even like when say I love Dave Chappelle. I absolutely love Dave Chappelle. Everything he says. Most of everything he says, I'm like, yeah, there's some truth in that, and that perspective is very interesting. And I don't think like that, but I love how he's able to tie it together, and he tries to humanize his humor, right? And one of the last ones he did, I know he's in trouble with like the LGBTQ community a lot, right? With his humor. Actually, I don't even know it's all that humorous anymore. Like now,
yeah, I went to his. Every time he has a new special, or I went to his actual show in San Diego in December, and it just ends up being kind of like a lecture or like a. I don't know. Yeah, it's not even humorous anymore. It's just him trying to like cover for himself. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not as funny as he used to be. He's in a weird space too. He's in a weird space. Yeah. But yeah, and when there's more recent ones, he brought up Chinese people. I can't. You know what? I can't remember the joke. It's like the lone joke on Chinese people. So
I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but he was talking about how he was comparing people who are gender fluid or like transgendered.
Yeah.
He was trying to compare them to people who are thinking they're transracial. It's like,
okay.
It's like I'm black, but today I feel Chinese. Or something like that. I was like, that's a joke.
He had the accent. Yeah. That's what it was, right? Yeah. And I remember feeling,
I thought it was hilarious.
It is hilarious. But I did get my panties in the bunch. I did get a little like, oh man, I gotta bring out the accent, man. Like I felt it. As much as I don't want to admit it. Yeah. I don't want to admit that I felt that. But being honest here, I felt it. You know what I mean?
That's funny. I didn't feel that because the way I saw it was like that joke wouldn't have hit the same if he didn't do the accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But maybe I'm too woke for this. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. I don't know, whatever. But had it been an Asian guy making that same joke, I've been like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. Love it. But because he's not Asian, I had a slight. I grimaced at it a little bit, like that my heart grimaced a little bit, like my insides, like kind of like, ugh. But obviously I'm like, it's a joke, take it. And, he's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to make a point, and I guess that's,
that's the context part too. Yeah.
That's the context. It's important. Yeah. But, like I feel for people who don't like going back to Oriental, like if people really found offensive to the word Oriental, I feel for them in the same way as much. I feel for them as much as I don't understand it, I guess. Because like that word doesn't offend me. I don't feel anything.
Yeah, but in the sense of like, yeah, that word has never been used towards me.
I don't feel anything towards that word. I don't find it offensive, but yeah, I can understand what they're saying when they say that is offensive, because when, Dave Chappelle, the comedian I love so much, makes a joke like that, I still feel a little bit, then I'm like, I can tap into that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I don't know. We can go on about this.
And then I guess forever. I also wonder too, if white people in China, I don't know how they say gweilo in Mandarin, but in Cantonese, the word gweilo means like white person,
white
basically.
People. Yeah,
I think it means like ghost person.
It's referring to white people, but it literally translates to ghost person. Yeah, ghost dude.
I think because of their skin color. I don't know. I'm guessing. Yeah,
I'm basically saying a white devil. You're calling white people white devil to their faces, and it's actually socially accepted over there.
Yeah. So I wonder if if white people that do speak Cantonese get offended by that term. Probably not. But
yeah, they got to be more woke over there, man. They got to outlaw that shit. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. But yeah, my wife is now bugging me about something that we need to discuss for Luca's first birthday party, and she's at Target right now, and she needs me to go check on something.
Yeah,
she's gonna go buy something.
I wish I could be there next week for his birthday party, which we were originally gonna go, but some stuff happened at our business, and we got to stay back and take care of the ship.
If you guys liked what you heard during this first episode, chime in on your opinions on Chinese shit, I guess.
Whatever we talked
New Year
about.
To you guys as well. And next time we're going to talk about some Mexican shit, because both me and my brother are both married to Mexican women, and they run basically a Mexican restaurant / nightclub. So I want to dive into that, because I think that's fucking weird and awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
We're like that.
Yeah. Happy Lunar New Year's. We have our Instagram, and then of course this YouTube channel. Then we're also going to put our stuff on Rumble. It's like kind of like the new platform that a lot of people are going to.
Yeah,
as well.
Rumble.
So we'll probably put it on as much stuff as we possibly can. But if you guys like what you heard, follow us, subscribe, whatever, and
smash the like button.
Smash the subscribe.
All right, guys. Well, till next time, stay oriented. No, don't do that. No, never do that again.
All right.
All right. Peace.
See ya.